Good evening. My name is Mark. I am president of the West End Civic Association. I would like to thank you for attending our meeting, which is a joint civic meeting alongside Northside, Southside, and Hillcrest. As I do start every meeting, we'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please rise? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just a note on tonight's format, there are 5 candidates running for office. 3 are running for trustees. They did pick out of the hat before they got here who's going to speak first. I believe Lynn's going to speak first, Nadia second, and then Frank third. Justice Hayden could not be here today, so I'm going to read a speech from him that he prepared, and then the Mayor, Dominic Longobardi, is going to speak. I did tell the candidates to keep the time to about 5 minutes, so once 5 minutes comes up, I am going to stop them or tell them to wrap it up pretty soon. And then at the end, when everything's done, I'm going to give them 1 or 2 minutes to speak if they didn't get to everything they did in the 5 minutes. So that's going to be how it's going to go for the speakers. Then they'll be followed by audience questions. If you do want to ask a question, please just raise your hand. We'll call on you, state your name, address, and who the question is directed to. Whether it's directed to Dominic, Lynn, Frank, or Nadia, just direct the question towards them. They're going to have about 2 minutes to answer that question. And then if one of the other candidates has something they want to add, they're just going to let me know, and they're going to have about 20 to 30 seconds to give their point of view on it. Please note that this is not a debate. This is a question and answer. If you want to have a debate, find another organization to do it. We're not having a debate here. This is just a strictly question and answer. We're going to end at around 9:15. We'll see how the questions go. And if all the questions are being directed towards one individual, we're just going to stop and ask for questions to be to another individual just to break it up. We're trying to do everything as fairly as we can. And just another note that all these people here who are running tonight are sitting beside me. They all give their time and dedication to the village. So whether you agree with them or not, they absolutely deserve your respect and attention. I'm not running a circus here. I'm not a ringleader. So if things get out of hand, I'm just going to turn to somebody in the West End Civic Association, another board member, and ask to adjourn, and we're just going to end the meeting. This is going to be a civilized discussion for residents of the village of Floral Park. And finally, we don't film our civic meetings at the West End. It looks like I'm being filmed right now, so I just want everyone to know that there is a possibility that you're being filmed out in the audience. So just keep that in mind, okay? And from there, I am going to turn the mic over to Lynn, who's got about 5 minutes to speak. I am going to try to keep track of my phone here.
Thank you. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Lynn Pombagno. I'm a member of the Village Board of Trustees, and I'm running for re-election with Trustee Frank Chiara, Mayor Dominic Longobardi, and Village Justice Doug Hayden. Most of you know me, but in different ways. If you live near Floral Parkway, I've been your neighbor for almost 15 years. If you have been active in our school districts, you know me as our former superintendent of schools. If you participate in the Hans Family Fun Day and races or our self-esteem program, if your child has participated in the Floral Park Lions Club Peace Poster Contest or applied for a graduation, community service, or scholarship, or received a Leadership Foundation grant to pursue his or her interest in a leadership project, you know me as a proud member of the boards of the Hans Family Foundation, the Leadership Foundation of Floral Park, and the Floral Park Lions Club. And if you are a robotics fan, you know me as the coach of the Brickheads and Tigerbots, our award-winning school robotics teams. That's former coach. My background also includes interesting positions as a teacher, school principal, Director of Human Resources and Staff Development, and a member of the Adjunct Educational Leadership Faculty at Stony Brook University. In Floral Park, I am very proud of what we as a village board and staff, and we as a community of volunteers have accomplished in recent years. We are a safe community by many accounts, one of the safest. Our property values have increased for many reasons, most notably our residents' hard work, creativity, and pride. We have a modern recreation facility with our pool, tiny town, and sports fields. Our library children's room, enthusiastic staff, colorful child-friendly environment, and stimulating activities have produced crowds of very happy children, as has our new grant-funded reading room for everyone. Our police and fire departments' extensive training programs, often conducted by our own expert department members, add to their effectiveness in protecting us. The police department's school resource officer, created around 2011, when I was your superintendent of schools, has brought highly educated police officers to our students, staff, and parents in the 4 schools, providing what could be important life-saving, wellness, peer interaction, and use of technology instruction. A comprehensive memorandum of understanding with the Long Island Railroad has enunciated important third-track instruction requirements and provided compensation to the village. And together, we saw our village at its finest, not finest hour, but tens of hours as we joined together at 4 Belmont redevelopment public hearings in a collective, powerful voice to attack scope creep, overdevelopment, significant adverse impacts, and an inadequate, efficient DEIS. Thank you all for that. Looking forward, we want to capitalize on our great energy and momentum to continue to engage in thoughtful, collaborative, strategic, and fiscal planning. Updating our zoning code is a process that has included several recent changes related to subdivisions and restrictions placed on the sale of harmful substances, as well as our architectural review board's heightened scrutiny of building construction plans in the context of the impact on their neighboring properties. That's very important. Zoning code revision is often best incorporated with master planning for our residential and business areas, traffic, parking, and others. We must identify and bring together the expertise of experienced attorneys, planners, and financial advisors, knowledgeable village professionals who serve on our ARB and Zoning Board of Appeals as volunteers, representatives from other communities with a record of successful planning initiatives, our legislative contacts, and our own intelligent, resourceful citizens. A focused and informed process will lead to productive opportunities for research, collaboration, developing a shared vision and sense of purpose, problem resolution, increased understanding of our village's infrastructure and potential, and added value. And as we progress and evolve, so must our procedures to ensure our fiscal planning includes short-term and long-term planning to balance expenditures and increases over multiple years and always anticipate the impact of tax levy increases, as well as communication strategies designed to improve speed and efficiency. I look forward to engaging with you, all of you, as we lead the way into a future for us and our children, one that celebrates our village's many, many assets, quality of life, innovative thought and planning, and meaningful progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Nadia?
Oh, it is on. Okay, sorry. Good evening, everybody. First of all, I need to say I think that the room packed like this is awesome. This is exactly what my campaign's goal is civic engagement. And all it took was a second party in the village to bring out residents. So I applaud you all and thank you all for coming and engaging. But I will get right to it because I only have 5 minutes. I did grow up in Belrose, just over the hill. I have a master's degree in speech language pathology. I worked for 11 years in various capacities. I am married for 18 years to my husband, who's sitting front and row in center. We have 2 children adopted from Guatemala. And we moved here in 2002. And I see Ann sitting here in the front because I always reference Ann. She's the one who got me started. When Ann was mayor, she invited me to participate in the Citizens with Disabilities Committee. And we were charged with identifying areas in the village that would benefit from improvements for the disabled. And with that, one of the first things we identified actually was this building. This building was relatively new at the time, and it had wonderful amenities, but there were no automatic doors. And under the guidance of Mary Grace Temecki, who was then trustee liaison, we secured a community development block grant, and that was the funding for the doors. Subsequently, the committee was disbanded, but I was hooked. I was hooked to give back to my community. And with that, I then started to attend the Civic Association in Hillcrest. I'm right off Orchid Street, on Orchid Street. From there, I became a board member, vice president, and ultimately president of the Civic Association. I was president for 5 years, recently resigning so that I can concentrate on the campaign in an effort to better serve everyone from the other side this time. But during my tenure, our Civic Association's membership increased. We forged a stronger relationship with the Covert Avenue Chamber. Let me just look at my notes very quickly. We created a social media presence to be able to disseminate the information in a more timely fashion to residents pertinent to Hillcrest, and actually it turned out to be Floral Park as a whole. We began emailing newsletters, which decreased expenditures for the committee, the Civic Association. And then one of the other things that I'm proud to say that the Civic Association did is when Patterson was, that property was being sold, I did advocate for 7 to 8 houses because I was trying to preserve as much green space as possible. Everyone was saying, you know, they really felt that perhaps we're being overdeveloped. But I knew in the end that 9 houses is a better tax base. But I identified that there was a property across the street that was unused. So I did approach the village and I approached the developer, and Hillcrest ultimately did get the Colonial Gardens Park that we enjoy. And subsequently, we now have an annual tree lighting that occurs, and all the children enjoy that. Throughout the years, I've had no issues reaching out to any elected officials to advocate for Floral Park as a private residence. I see Matt Sexton here. Matt Sexton, myself, and Tammy Williams from Elmont, we work together in the grassroots movement to fight the casino, the proposed casino. The village needed to fight from their end what they needed to do, and the 3 of us coordinated efforts to bring the citizens together to fight and protest. From there, all the communications that I was having with state senators and assemblymen and women, I was invited to go up to Albany to bring the cause there. My husband and I spent the day in Albany. We met with several senators. We brought a nice information packet. They gave the background of Floral Park, the background of Belmont, and why this project was detrimental to the area. And obviously, it was ultimately defeated. Not for better, though, but another thing that I got involved with over the years, of course, now is the third track project. Been vehemently opposed to it from the get-go. Reverse commute does not seem like a plausible reason for this project, and I truly believe Governor Cuomo has an ulterior motive, but it is what it is, and it's coming, so we needed to mitigate. The village, again, advocated, to get as much as they can for it, but when I was hearing about all this money being spent on this wonderful project to bring it up to, the future, to bring it to the future and enhancements. Okay, so anyway, I am glad to see that everyone is here. I will just quickly say that my decision to launch the campaign comes after about 2 years of thinking. I've enjoyed giving back to my community as a private resident, and now I want to do more from the other side. This decision was not taken lightly. My platform is not radical, it's not rogue. It's simple, down to earth, and back to basics. My platform returns our village government back to the neighbors. All right, and I'll finish later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. Frank?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Frank Chiara. I'm running on a citizen's ticket along with Mayor Dominic Longobardi, Lynn Lavagno, Justice Douglas Hayden, and myself. For more than 19 years, my family and myself have called the west end of the village home. Shortly after the arrival of my triplet boys, my wife and myself moved from Belrose to Floral Park to raise our family. We both became active with the Floral Park Indians me as a coach of soccer, and my wife on the board of directors. I also enjoyed coaching Little League and basketball. We are parishioners of the Our Lady of Victory Parish, and I am a member of the Knights of Columbus. I am the village liaison and member of the West End Civic Association and a member of the Southside Civic Association also. My wife is an active member of the Volunteer Floral Park Fire Department, serving as an EMT in a rescue company. Recently, I celebrated my 40th year working for the Bronx District Attorney's Office. I am the Chief Detective Investigator who supervises and manages a squad of 50 criminal investigators, police officers who support over 400 ADAs on criminal prosecutions. We also conduct proactive investigations on major crimes that are occurring in the county, networking with many city, state, and federal agencies along with community outreach. My career has exposed me to the inner workings of government and has made me aware of the importance of being responsive and accountable to the people I serve. As a manager, I know the importance of being a good listener and the benefit of working together to achieve a common goal. All of my career experiences along my life experiences have contributed to my ability to be a village trustee. Since 2017, I have had the honor and privilege of serving our community as one of your trustees. We have a strong team led by our Mayor, Dominic Longobardi, our Assistant Mayor, Kevin Fitzgerald, our fellow trustees, Archie Chang and Dr. Lynn Pombano. We work well together, addressing all of our village needs, having open conversation, sharing ideas, expressing our opinions, to come to a common consensus of how to deal with our village issues. All of us are assigned on the board to various areas of concentration. So when we get together, we share our information that on our different areas so that we're all aware of what's going on in the village. A major part of our team are all of our community volunteers who are actively engaged on so many of our projects, and I'd like to take the time to thank them for all the work that they do with us. For the last 2 years, I have worked very closely with the staff at the Recreation and Pool Facility, our village board, and over 25 community volunteers to keep our facilities running smoothly and efficiently. We'd like to keep it an enjoyable place to visit and a relaxing atmosphere so we can socialize with our friends and neighbors. Some of the projects that we have the ability to complete are the total renovation and rebuild of Tiny Town, which is now open. The renovation of the shelter house, which is being used by community groups. The renovation of 2 ball fields, one being converted for intermediate play, soon to be used by our Little League. The purchase and installation of a shade structure at the pool, and the addition of sports activities. The success of all these projects could not have been accomplished without the support of our village board, the dedication of our resident volunteers, and all of our residents' input. We are continue working together to enhance the guest experience at all of our facilities. I have also had the pleasure of working with the staff with 4 Village Studio. This staff consists mainly of volunteers who continue to produce programs with the intent to inform, educate, and entertain its viewers, focusing on the talents and contributions of local individuals and community organizations. The studio continues to get presented with awards annually, and it's very proud of its ability to mentor individuals who take their experiences and go on to get jobs in the area. Over the last 2 years, we have revitalized the new residence committee. With a group of volunteers, we've been putting together baskets with a lot of information in it and articles that have been donated from our local businesses. It is a great way to welcome our new community residents and to provide them with valuable information on our community. Lynn and myself are also part of the newly formed crew committee. Started as a grassroots movement of volunteers partnered with our schools, police, and community groups to raise awareness by educating our community of the dangers of certain illnesses. We are focusing on young groups. We are sharing information on such topics as alcohol and drug use, bullying and vaporing, and any other areas of concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Justice Hayden cannot be here today. He gave me a speech to read for him, which I will do right now. Good evening. My apologies for not being here tonight, but business takes me out of town with Una to our national conference. As a lifelong resident, I want to thank the residents in advance for the support you have given to me each time I have ran. It means a lot to Una and our children, Connor, Ryan, Shannon, and Sean. As I look back over 20 years of being your village justice, I can tell you that I still have the same energy and commitment to apply the laws and facts fairly each and every Monday night there as I sit as your village justice. I'm equally proud of the fact that this village, as my father, former Mayor Tom Hayden, coined the phrase, a great place to live and raise a family, remains just that. A village that has changed throughout the years, but still holds the aesthetic beauty and sound property values, as well as so many offerings to our young children, teenage children, and our seniors. Although I run unopposed, I think about two things. Number one, Tip O'Neill's Speaker of the House autobiography, where the first time he ran for Congress, he saw that his next door neighbor, Mrs. O'Brien, who Tip would shop for her groceries and shovel her walk in the snow, didn't vote. He approached Mrs. O'Brien to ask why, and she simply said, "Tip, you never asked for my vote." Two, the sage advice of my father, who would always say, opposed or not opposed, you always campaign as if you are contested and ask the residents for your vote. So tonight I ask you, on election day, for your vote. I promise the same commitment to the oath I take as I serve as your village judge. I thank you, as well as my family in advance, for consideration of your vote. My mind may be with business tonight, but my heart will always be in Floral Park. Sincerely, the Honorable Douglas Hayden. And now I'd ask the mayor to speak.
Can you all hear me? Because I don't like microphones. And I have a big enough mouth. First of all, thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Thank you all for being here. You know, tonight is a special night. Tonight we get to tell you a little bit about ourselves, but what I'd really like to talk about is why I enjoy being mayor. I enjoy being mayor of this community for one special reason. I get to work with so many good people. I get to work with a group of people that spend so much time caring about their neighbors, working to make sure that this is a better place that we can all live in. You see behind you, I want to point them out. This is our CSEA workforce. They're here. The reason they're here is because, one, they're very hardworking people. They spend a lot of time making sure our roads are taken care of, our trees, all of our sidewalks are taken care of, your garbage is picked up, and all the different things that get done around our community. They're also here because we're in the middle of negotiating their contract. And that's the right thing to do. I want to thank them all for the work that they do day in and day out for us. They take care of our residents. Because while we may be negotiating a contract, and in the middle of that, they still spend every day working very hard for you, our neighbors. And we can always, and do whatever we do, we have to say thank you for that. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd ask you to all give them a round of applause. I just want to mention Matt McBeaver, their president. Matt, thank you so much for everything you do too.
Thank you.
So, you know, again, what you see here is people who care. What I see out in the audience right now is everybody who cares. Everybody who wants to be part of this community. Everybody who wants to make things happen for their neighbors and make it a better place to live. And I get to be mayor. That is an extreme and beyond extreme honor to be mayor of one of the greatest communities you will ever see across the face of this country. Let's face it, we're one of the best communities and one of the best villages on Long Island, in the state of New York, and across the country. Why? Because of what everybody does day in and day out. What everybody does to make it better. And when I say that, I want to talk about the people who do that. Very quickly and very easily. Our village board. I get to work with some really wonderful people every day. The village board, time and time again, tackling all different kinds of problems. You know, we have the day-to-day operations in our village, and then we get hit with things like the third track in Belmont and a few other things that come up. And like the good stewards that they are, our Deputy Mayor Kevin Fitzgerald, our wonderful trustee Archie Chang, who isn't here tonight. You know where Archie is? Archie's at another meeting because the third track is speaking at the school board tonight. So he's there covering that tonight. He will be here at some point later. And then, of course, I have the two people behind me. Two very, very special people. I want to talk about Lynn Pombano for a second. Lynn Pombano, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Since, when did you become superintendent? 2005. 2004, assistant superintendent. Dr. Lynn Pombano has had the influence not only over the community, but over each and every one of your children that she supervised as the superintendent of our school district. What is our most precious resource is the future, our children. And Dr. Lynn spent so much time, not only then, but now, taking care of our children, working on their behalf, spending a lot of time as she, quote, retired being a superintendent. We dragged her back in. It was great. She didn't say no to us. She's right here with us, working on behalf of the community and working on behalf of the students. Frank Chiara. Frank Chiara started 2 years ago. Now, this is the running joke, ladies and gentlemen. He's the baby trustee. But we also tease him because somehow they told him it was 2 meetings a month at Village Board. Okay? We tease him unmercifully. But the hours and time he spends up here at the Recreation Center, because that's his assignments right now, but also in Village Hall, making sure things are done, making sure everything happens on a daily basis to give you the quality of life that you want. Their dedication and love of this community is amazing. And I am beyond honored to work with them day in and day out. Because this board has worked tirelessly. And I'm not saying that for any accolades or anything. We love to do it. We want to be there. We want to make it happen. This is what it is for us. You are our family. We talk about Floral Park being a community of families. Well, you know what Floral Park is? Floral Park is one big family. Floral Park is a place where we raise our children and we raise our families and we want to live a very, very happy life doing the things that we want to do. Do we have issues? I'm sorry? About 5 minutes? Okay. Do we have issues? Yes, we do. But you know what the beauty of it is? And I'm just going to take 2 more seconds because I really want to talk about all of the volunteers and all the people who do everything that they do day in and day out. Our village staff, the volunteer committees, and I can't tell you how many thousands of people who step up every day and do things, whether they're coaching, whether they're helping, whether they're on committees in the village. And that was proven a couple of weeks ago when we were all out together working on behalf of this village with the Belmont Redevelopment Project. Almost 2,500 letters from our residents. Everybody works together, ladies and gentlemen. I know I only have 5 minutes, so I'm done. I want to thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Dominic. If you know him, you know how hard 5 minutes is for him. Okay, for those of you who came late, just to go over what we're going to do here, this is not a debate. I repeat, this is not a debate. This is not going back and forth. We're not having candidates talk to other candidates. It's questions from the audience. If you have a question, please, by all means, raise your hand. If we call on you, stand up, say your name and address, and direct who the question is going to. It's not a general question here. It has to go to somebody standing behind me or myself. I'll answer it. I don't care. And then if 2 minutes to answer the questions, and then if somebody else wants to jump in for 30 seconds afterwards, that's fine. I'll let them say something, and we're just going to go from there. You got about a half hour to do this. So Kevin's going to help me with this. Okay, let's start. Anybody have a question from the audience? Yes.
I have a comment. Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Okay.
Name, please, and address.
Terry Stanlowitz, 3 Granger Avenue. I know.
You want to stand up?
Sorry. Terry Stanlowitz, 3 Granger Avenue. I just wanted to make a comment. Frank had mentioned the crew committee. I am a part of the crew committee, and I just wanted to make a comment and thank both Lynn and Frank for their participation and their ongoing support. They have brought this to fruition, and I feel like it's truly going to make a difference in the community, not only in the community, but we hope to, bring it to other places on misuse of drugs. Started out with the opioid crisis, but we expanded upon that, so I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Some people are having trouble hearing, so.
Hi, my question is for Nadia. I'm Bruce Dunn. I live on Hickory Street. I've been in Floral Park resident for 55 years. So, Nadia, you talked about the third track, but you kind of just went right over that. Just trying to figure out what is your plan about the third track, because there was no detail on anything that you said. So could you elaborate what you want to do?
I got 2 minutes. Right, it was glossed over because I had my 5 minutes. I actually fully support everything that the village is doing for the third track in their fight. From what I see, I think that they're giving their all. And I would like to join in on that fight. I've done what I can in terms of advocating for the elevators. But I think that we need to continue and we need to be diligent. I know Archie has been working his butt off. And I really am thoroughly impressed with the way things have been going. So I'm not here to fight everything against the village. That's not the case. In fact, I want to join in and work with the board and do the best that I can contribute. So with regards to the third track, I really see what's going on is perfect right now. And does that satisfy your answer?
Absolutely. And, I have a friend that's handicapped that lives right across the street, and I'm appalled that he has to go to New Hyde Park every time that he wants to get on the train. To me, it's disgraceful.
Absolutely.
So what you're saying, though, and I like what you're saying, and I applaud everything you're saying, is you're giving accolades to the Citizen Party, which I think is great. So, well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else back there?
My question for Nadia. My name is Matthew Sexton, 39-year resident of the village of Floral Park, parliamentarian for the Southside Civic Association. In December 2015, I created a casino at Belmont Park. John Yackel over there, Mary Grace Colecki, and Marco Pinelli. You were invited afterwards, and you didn't cross the finish line with us. You were very difficult to work with. This was evident when you set up a meeting with Jack Martin. We originally were going to have this meeting. I wasn't allowed to go because I was going to protest Jack. And we as a group decided that you should bring trustee Archie Chang, who was recently elected. We felt that we had them on the ropes. We felt that by bringing Archie Chang, we would show unity, strength, and we'd be able to basically get a soundbite to show that we won this. Instead, you went to this meeting on your own. You didn't tell anybody afterwards, which wasn't very transparent. You took your victory lap and forgot your newspaper post. Second of all, I created Open Floral Park in February of 2016, which you took and created in May of 2018. You used it to bash Commissioner McAllister. You used it to throw around allegations that were in the newspaper showing something that was one-sided without ever showing the other side of the fence, how unreliable
Matt, is there a question? Matt, is there a question?
I'm almost done.
Come on, question.
When I heard about this, I called the village, I called the commissioner, you called Newsday reporter Christopher Brooks. The seat you're running for is something that has responsibility and integrity. And in my opinion, you do not have a track record of responsibility and integrity. As a voter, how am I supposed to believe that you're going to work for the village and not for yourself? Thank you.
It might just be a little bit longer than 2 minutes to answer this. Thank you.
Well, the question was 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. And there were multiple levels to this question. The first was not crossing the finish line. Matt, this is a back and forth, and a lot of this has occurred on social media, so a lot of people might not be aware of half the story. With regards to saying that I met Jack Martin without your permission, or however it is that you stated, I actually, if we're going to do this, I actually have a screenshot of you announcing on the Facebook page that in fact I was meeting with the Senator Martins and that you were okay with this idea. So we can go back and forth about this, and that's fine. And there was never ever going to be a secret about it because I can't keep secrets, and I felt guilty. Let me now finish.
She gets to finish.
Let me finish, please. With regards to open floor park, I was unaware that you had, maybe I did join it, whatever. I mean, we're going to go back and forth about the ownership of the Facebook page, whatever. With regards to Commissioner McAllister, okay, look, that's an elephant in this room. My contention has been and will always be that I do not believe that the village administration has handled the situation adequately. We have had our highest level authority be alleged to engage in illegal activity in federal trial. My only contention has been that I wanted it properly investigated. There are ethics laws in place, municipal laws in place. We have village codes in place to handle these types of situations. The village instead had a meeting with our village administrator and the police commissioner and our village attorney and deemed no wrongdoing. That is not to the satisfaction of taxpayers. I am also not pulling this out of thin air. This is not me just alone. There is a backing of residents who feel that this is unsatisfactory. There is a process in place and it's been ignored. That is my contention. Thank you.
If I could, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to address this. Because as Nadia said, it's the elephant in the room, okay? Let me say this. When we first found out or first heard about the possibility of a trial going on in allegations, yes, our village attorney and our village administrator did take a look and speak with our police commissioner. To date, there has been absolutely no credible evidence whatsoever presented to us that in any way, shape, or form that Commissioner McAllister was guilty of any crime or anything. In regard to the ethics board is established in the village, again, to investigate ethics violations going on within the village. They are an advisory board. They are a group of residents. In this case, if they would have found anything, or if they would have seen anything, all they would have been able to do is turn it over to the proper authorities. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's be realistic. The proper authorities already investigating this case was the U.S. attorney. The U.S. attorney, and I have to believe that the U.S. attorneys are some of the smartest lawyers going. So in all reality, they're already doing their investigation. But I want to repeat again, that in no way, shape, or form did we find or was presented to us in any way anything that would have rose to that level, one. Two, again, credible evidence that something was wrong. I am not going to comment on comments made. I am not going to comment on anything that's in a newspaper, that's for sure. Okay? And I'll let that go from there.
Just a quick follow-up. In fact, the evidence is, if anybody can log into pacer.gov, you have to pay for it, but there is absolute evidence from FBI raids, etc. But regardless, you know, there have been no charges. You're absolutely correct. But we also know that other employees in the village have been accused of far lesser infractions and have been disciplined. If nothing else, then a formal statement from the mayor reassuring residents and taxpayers that the issue is closed and that you firmly believe that he is of good standing would have also been helpful. Thank you.
Just name, address, and who the question's going to.
Joe Pelletier, resident, 40 years in Floral Park. My question is, I live on Elizabeth Street. My question to Nadia is, it seems as if this Commissioner McAllister issue is like a one-trick pony for you, that's all you have going. and I'm sure you have other ideas. We have the best police department in the country, I believe. And you personally made statements saying that he's the highest paid. He's not the highest paid, not even in Nassau County. Right? And we have a police department that's so great because of Commissioner McAllister and their hard work. Right? But what I wanted to get to you is, and I'm sure you read it, Floral Park Families, because I've seen you comment on it all. Nobody that has written on it has said anything derogatory towards you at all.
Is there a question coming in?
Yes, there is a question, if you hold on.
We hold.
All right, we'll sit and hold it. All right?
You got 2 minutes.
We had asked a couple of individuals, I'm not even going to give names because I don't want to give the person that made this.
No name, just a question. What's the question?
And you didn't comment on this. 3 people in this room have questioned about Officer McAllister, about your views on him, and the money that you think that might have to be spent. But one of your supporters wrote.
Is there a question?
Yes, please. It says this is how these guys work. When they cannot communicate effectively, they make personal attacks. Remember, in the sewer, the scum rises to the top. You didn't even answer to that, like, to talk a person down. I want to know why you allow your supporters to speak like that, and you don't even comment back on it.
I have no answer. I cannot keep going back and forth on social media with every little thing that's stated. And to be honest, if we're going to go that way, just for others, yes, Floral Park Families is a Facebook page, and it's been quite heated as of late, which I knew, which comes with a contested election. I knew I was going to be the brunt of many things, and probably the brunt of most of these questions today. However, I will not keep going back and forth and back and forth. I do have a life of children and work and school, and I'm not going to sit there going back and forth because, you know what, on social media, no matter what answer I give, it's never going to be satisfying to anybody. So I'd rather address issues here and for the public to benefit from it. Thank you.
That's it. I'm sorry, one question. I'm sorry, if there's time, you can ask another question. One question, go ahead. Yes, sir, right there.
Hi, my name is Terrence Coppinger. I'm on Primrose Avenue, and I've been a resident for about 22 years in the village. I'm going to shift some questions over to the left-hand side of the table. I did take the opportunity and exchange some messages with Nadia online to go to both candidates' forum. So one of the things I did, I listened through some folks that were at Nadia's forum, and they brought up a few issues. The issues that were brought up to me were openly debated at public meetings. So I just, for folks that may not have gotten to public meetings, I think they're important to address. So one issue, Don was kind of pointed to you on LED lights. And then the second issue was, I'm going to get 3 questions. I'm sorry. The second issue was, Lynn, there was a question about some of the town codes that you mentioned in your speech, and then Frank, there was some questions about pool, about some issues with regard to third rail and not being communicated. Again, I've been to public meetings, I think they've all been addressed, but I think it would be good for
I'll give them 2 minutes to quick on each one, okay? Just 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
LED and everything. You got LEDs.
I only got 2 minutes?
On LEDs.
I got 2 minutes. LED lights. One of the things we had looked at, and just so everybody knows, we had looked at in the beginning when I first became mayor, one of the things I wanted to do, take a look at, was putting LED lights in. For those of you that don't know me and what I do for a living, I actually am the deputy controller of the town of Hempstead. One of the first projects I worked on when I moved from working in sanitation for 26 years, I moved over to the controller's office, was the installation of the 54,000 lights we put in the town of Hempstead. I worked on that project. So one of the things I wanted to do, and we found out what we could do, and it was saving money, okay? We were looking at saving money. The reality is yes, we can save a lot of money, but one of the things when I was talking to my neighbors was a number of people said they don't like them. So what we did was, we've gotten some of them right now. I'm not saying we're not doing it. I really want to do it. But we wanted to make sure that everybody would be okay with this. So if you take a quick look over on Pansy Avenue right now, from Atlantic, I think we've got them down to Mayfair. Take a look. We've put them in certain places. we'd ask you all, and it's been in the paper, it's been in the local paper, it's been on our website, to go take a look, and let us know what you think. If everybody's okay with it, we're gonna move forward with the project, so I can tell you that. So, but that's where that all stands. I know there were some questions as to what we were doing with that, but we are looking forward to it. There is a major savings that we can have, but also it will update the safety and security of our community. So, that's it in a nutshell, because I only have 2 minutes. So, thank you.
I'm speaking regarding zoning codes and what's happened with them for the past, I guess, 4 years since I've been on the board. When I came onto the board, actually, let me change that. Before I came onto the board, I knew that a huge priority for this village had to be doing something with Centennial Hall. And one of the first things when I came on, I was with the building department, I was the liaison to the building department, and spoke with the board, and together we decided that it was time, and we engaged, as you know, in a very lengthy process to decide what to do with Centennial Hall, visioning meetings, screening commercial real estate brokers, and then having visioning meetings on what we wanted to see in that place. Very time-consuming building department project. At the same time, it became apparent to me as groups came through ARB, the Architecture Review Board, that there were zoning things in the zoning code that sometimes interfered with good plans for houses and made things tedious for our businesses too. So the next thing, I worked with Steve Sawinski, our buildings department liaison supervisor. When we needed an attorney, we brought in John Ryan. We also worked with Frank Gunther on our Architectural Review Board to come up with some guidelines to make it easier for businesses to go through that process. That seemed like a priority. It's also obvious that our zoning code needs to be changed. The whole code. It hasn't been revised, I think, since the 1990s. But so then started researching what's involved with that. That's not something that I can take a citizens group or an advisory committee or some of you who are interested in zoning code and sit down and rewrite it. It's law. You need a lawyer to do that. It's a lengthy, expensive process. And they tell you when you do zoning code these days, if you want to do or should do master planning with it, so that your zoning code supports what your residents and your businesses need to thrive and grow, and you don't want to have obstacles in their way in zoning code. So that you heard a little bit in my introductory comments, that's an important priority to begin now. It is complex, but it's exciting. We need to do it and look forward to speaking with everybody more about it.
So in regards to your question regarding the construction of the third track and pool recreation facilities here, there are ongoing, almost daily conversations we're having with the Long Island Railroad in regards to the construction that's being performed over here. We've been willing to work with them. Our goal is to try to get them in and out as soon as possible to minimize the impact for all our residents here. But every day, it seems their plan seems to be changing. They want to utilize some of the gates, maybe all the gates, then they want to use only 2 of the gates. So every day, Archie Chang, who's been battling with these individuals from Long Island Railroad, have been dealing with them. Like I said before, our goal is to get them in and out as soon as possible, least impact on our facility up here. The upcoming summer season is coming on. We don't want it to impact our leagues. We don't want it to impact our use of our pool. So we're all on top of it, and Archie's doing a great job keeping us apprised of what's happening. As soon as I get any more definitive advances, I'll be the first to let it out there and let the public know about it.
Hi, I have a question for Nadia. I, like most people, are very worried about the... Oh, sorry, my name is Jessica. I live in 125 Mayfair. And I'm very concerned about the Belmont redevelopment project. I'm sorry, I came in late. I didn't hear what you said in the beginning. And I'm not on social media, so I have no idea, your thoughts or anything. I'm wondering, since the DEIS came out, what have you been doing on behalf of the village? I heard you speak at the hearing, and really, I just remember it being something about how you were misquoted in something. So I'm wondering, what have you been doing since last year when this came out on behalf of us?
I've actually been supporting the work of the village. As I said, with regards to the third track, Belmont also, I really feel that the village is fighting tooth and nail against it. And so anything that they need, I don't feel I can contribute anything new or different or from a different angle. I really feel that the village has been tackling it from all ends. They're hiring, all these engineers and law firms, and they're looking at litigation. The best I can do is educate myself and pass on the information to the residents, well, when I was civic president, pass on the information. The letter that, the statement that you're referring to is, I had made a statement on behalf of the Hillcrest Civic Association, and of course, it was misquoted, it was taken out of context to make it look like it was support, and that upset me to no end. So I had to call them out on it, and I let our state senators know that that was going on as well. But in terms of now, I really do feel that the village has been fighting tooth and nail, and the best I can do is, like I said, at least spread the word and get residents out.
Any other questions? That gentleman right over there, and then we'll go to that gentleman over there. Name and address, please.
Hello, Edward Betch, 128 Beverly. Nadia, I'm concerned about your political affiliations. If you were to get elected to trustee, are you going to run for the village or as a Democrat? A couple things. As Hillcrest Civic Association, you actually, on social media, endorsed a Carl Gerardo for county legislator, Democrat. It says Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 2, Hillcrest Civic Association bylaws, it shall be nonpartisan. Yet, you promoted a Democratic guy. Your postcard to voters are the Democratic Party. Well, that's my background. So the bottom line is, are you running as a Democrat, or are you going to be able to be nonpartisan and only care about what's good for the village?
Village politics is nonpartisan. I am a registered Democrat who is running for trustee. You mentioned postcards for voters. I will give background on this if I just do a little bit over 2 minutes, very quickly. I am a registered Democrat. There was a volunteer organization that offered to write postcards on my behalf to help with the campaign. It's free. I wasn't going to turn down free. Elections are very expensive. And what came out of that is they are writing that I'm a Democrat. Okay, so be it. None of the literature that comes from me is as a Democrat. I am in village elections. It's nonpartisan. There is no politics. However, that being said, let's also remember that we have had our elected officials pose with candidates from the Republican Party in photos and on letterhead endorsing candidates. So when that stops, then perhaps we can have a further discussion about nonpartisan. But everything that I do for the village is for the best of the village, hands down. I love this village just like they do. I just want to bring a different, fresh perspective. That's all I want to do. Don't want to tear things apart. Don't want to change things. I want to bring a fresh perspective.
I don't need Sorry. It's for the mayor, and I have to follow up. Just
name and address.
Mike Kroger from 35 Vanderbilt, about 25 years in the village. I may have a follow-up depending on your answer. It's not what you think it is. I was reading in an article. Some of the villages have health insurance. Does the village have health insurance for the trustees?
Yes, the village has health insurance for the trustees, but that doesn't mean that all the trustees take it.
And if they don't take it, do they take a cash?
There is a stipend if you don't take it. Yes.
What's the equivalent? What's the cash stipend?
$1,200.
Is that
$1,250?
Is that shown in the budget? So I don't ever remember seeing that in the budget, and I've seen looked at the budgets. I remember seeing that a line item in the budget of that.
That would be in the under the health insurance
line item. The trustees had that line item, the health insurance.
It wouldn't be on the trustees line. It's in the health insurance line.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Anybody else? No?
It'll be brief, just in terms of your comment about any kind of a stipend or health insurance offered. I had the privilege of working in the superintendent's capacity in this district for 8 years, was very fairly and well compensated. I do not take any stipend or payment for being a trustee, nor do I take any stipend or reimbursement in lieu of health insurance from the village.
Anybody else? We got about 2 more questions, so let's make them good. Name and address.
Hi, my name is Karen Brandon. I live on Vanderbilt Avenue in Floral Park, and I'm one of those born and raised, and I'm not going to tell you how many years I lived here because you'll know how old I am, so I'm not doing that. But I did have a question for Dr. Lynn. Nadia had brought up, she's going to bring a fresh perspective. Could you maybe share with us maybe some new ideas that you would have for the village going forward?
Yeah, I have to say my fresh perspective comes from all of you in the room and people around me. I, both as superintendent and in my job as trustee, I look to people as go-to people for ideas. What I talked about in the opening introduction was, I think, a big, fresh and new idea, and that is working together on a very comprehensive plan to deal with some of the problems we face in our village, such as roadways and traffic and parking. And those ideas include seeking out. Can you hear me if I talk without the mic?
To your left. To your left.
Those ideas include seeking out the expertise of experts, expertise of people who have done master planning and have done code changes, and working to make them work for our district. So many of you have gone through maybe the building department process or a process to renovate your homes and do wonderful things and have found it a tedious process. So the fresh ideas are to incorporate that, changes in that to make it easier for our homeowners to do that, to make it tougher on people coming in who take advantage of things in the code to do things that are not necessarily good for their neighbors and residents, and at the same time to solve some of the problems that we are seeing as we grow and grow and grow. So there's a whole lot of fresh ideas in that, and plenty of room for people to share and do something very creative and useful for our village.
Thank you. Mary Ann and then Tom, and then wrap it up.
Good evening. Mary Ann Cute, 22 Maple Avenue, born and raised, and I'm in the same category as you. I'll say 20, but come on down. Okay. My question, we heard from Dr. Lynn about some of the things that you want to work on for the next 2 years. So I'd like to hear from the other 2 candidates, what are 2 specific things you want to work on for the next...
Why don't we just make it all?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, and then my question for Nadia was, what 2 specific things, if elected, specific things do you want to work on for the next 2 years? And all 4 of you, why do you believe then that you are the best candidate for that position? Please.
So luckily enough, I've been working with the Recreation and Pool Committee, and a lot of the ideas that I'm getting from the Recreation and Pool Committee have been coming out from our volunteers also. So I'd like to see the facilities maintain their integrity, maintain a place where we could all come and share more community events so we can bolster our community spirit here in the village. It's It's one of the things I'd like to see. Make it more accessible to everybody. It is accessible right now, but we want to make it more accessible to our younger children so they can have some time doing some free play up here rather than if they don't want to be involved with some of the formalized sports programs. A lot of the things I'd like to see.
Just real quick, I think a couple of the things that we'd like to see done and like to do involve the infrastructure in our community, okay? We definitely have issues with our roads. Our roads, unfortunately, because of the cost of roads and the cost and the expense that it is to redo roads, I would really like to do a lot more of that to see if we can get that done. I mean, if you take a look, you know, and it's not just here, it's everywhere. The cost of a road a few years ago wasn't so bad. Now it's gone extremely expensive. On top of that, the reduction in financing that we used to get from New York State is really a bigger problem too, in that we can only do so much with what we've got. So I would really like to spend some time on the road program and see how much more we can enhance that. A couple of other things I want to see finished. We've been working on the sump over in Belmont Park for drainage and things like that. I want to get that finished as fast as we can. If you look right out here, you know you can't see it right now, but the hockey rink needs to be redone. So we'd like to get that done. So you know, there are all kinds of these little projects that are done. On top of that, some of the things that we started with Elaine Lucari and her idea and moving on crew and the Health and Wellness Committee, I'd like to see that grow a little bit more and spend time with that. We have a couple of other things that we want to see done. But the reality is that, unfortunately, when I first became mayor, I became mayor on April 3rd. I was sworn in. My first meeting with the third track was April 5th. And those kind of things, you know, when we thought about all the different things that we wanted to do, I mean, I had planned to have different committees, bringing the churches together, bringing some of the schools together, different things that I saw that we wanted to do. We haven't gotten to those yet, and those are the things that I want to see done. To bring, as Frank said, bring the community closer, bring the community more together as best we possibly can. So that's really where we're headed. So, all right, thank you.
I'm not going to come out from behind the table because I'm short either way wherever I stand. One of the ideas that I have put forth is having an attendance, a whole committee policy. In the village, there are a number of committees. And a lot of the times I've noticed through the years, it depends on who you know to get into a committee. A lot of people don't necessarily feel welcomed into committees. So one of the things that I would love to see, and this would enhance, this is all towards the goal of transparency. If you have an opening on a committee, post it. Post an opening, allow residents to express an interest. If it's something, let's say ARB or ZBA, where you need expertise, maybe submit a resume, maybe have an interview. Because certainly I can find beauty in a purple door, but that might not be something that the ZBA would want. So I don't belong on that committee. I don't know much about buildings and such, et cetera, et cetera. But there are other committees that oftentimes there are members that sit on committees that actually have never attended or haven't attended in a year. But yet they're reappointed every year, and that's not fair. That doesn't open it up to other residents who might want to participate. The other thing that I would really like to see, and many municipalities do this, is I would love to have our village meetings broadcast on Floral Village TV. It's just inexplicable to me that we have this public access and it can't be done. I've approached the board about it multiple times. I've spoken to the other 4 mayors in the villages of that board, and all seem to be on board, but yet it just kind of falls flat every time I talk about it. So that is something else that engages our residents, that brings out transparency. Thank you.
Mark, can I comment? I just want to comment, and I usually don't, but I have to comment on this in regard to the committees. The committees, yes, we appoint committees every reorganization meeting. And we will appoint again committees come April 1st, I believe is reorganization night this year. That does not mean that people can't be involved in committees. If you have an interest in something, and I'm going to use, again, I pointed out Elaine Lucari before. Elaine Lucari came to us with an idea about a committee that has now evolved into a village committee called the Health and Wellness Committee. And another arm, which is we hope to be a non-for-profit arm called CREW, to address issues such as opioid addiction and the different things that are going on in our community. That came out of a resident who had an idea. The new resident committee was something that everybody wanted to start up again, and we're getting going with that. The reality is that if you want to be on a committee and you let us know, whether we did it and we appointed you on that night, on reorganization night, or you came to us at a different time and asked us to be on the committee, unless there's some absolute reason for not putting somebody on a committee, we will put you on a committee. And I want to point out that Nadia, you yourself came to me and said you wanted to be on the Recreation Pool Committee, and that was after reorganization night, and we put you right on. So, you know, if you're interested in committees, if you're interested in doing something, if you're interested in starting a new committee, please let us know. We've done it before, and we'll do it again. So, I'm sorry, I had a comment on that. Thank you.
It'll be a brief 30-second. And yes, absolutely, the village does support committees, hands down. I think the new committees are wonderful. But I actually never, and I'm a person who is involved. I didn't even know about this crew committee until Frank mentioned it at the Women's Club the other day. You know, and how do other people know about these committees? There is nothing wrong to say, we have a committee, why can't you put it in the paper? Why can't you put it up on the website? That's all I'm asking for. And yes, I absolutely did ask, but again, because I was in the know. There are residents that with tiny towns who say they told me that they requested to be on the committee for the design of Tiny Town, and it fell on deaf ears, and now you're unfortunately having to redo some of that project. Thank you.
I'm just going to address CREW, the Community Coalition of Resources for Health and Wellness, and you're not finding out about it until Frank mentioned it at the Women's Club. We started, I'm going to estimate, in the fall. Nadia attended one of our first meetings in the American Legion, and right, so you found out about it in the fall and attended the first meeting or second meeting.
Not the crew.
We changed the name of it in the second and third meeting, which she didn't attend.
Arose by any other turning it into a debate, which I said we're not doing. So we're not doing a debate. We're not doing a debate. Okay? We're going to have everybody have a last 2 minutes to speak, and that's going to be it. So that's it. I'm sorry. Okay? Thank you. We're going to go in the same order. There's 2 minutes to speak. I believe Lynn was first. 2 minutes of wrap it up.
I'd like to thank the Civics and Mark for hosting this for us, and thank you all for being there and participating. These are important times for the Village of Floral Park, times of great challenge and opportunity. We can't miss a beat, and we must execute a well-coordinated plan for the daily management of our current challenges while being proactive about our future. Daily management, I'm talking about especially the third track and somewhat Belmont, which thank you, Nadia, for your support for our efforts in that area. I think that all of you, are not apathetic about our village government, but rather tremendously attentive, responsive, participatory, constructive, and candid. The votes of you, your families, your neighbors, and Floral Park friends are crucial on Tuesday, March 19th. We ask you to actively participate in delivering a very large turnout. We thank you for your love and support of our village, and we also ask you to keep the current slate of Mayor Longobardi, me, Trustee Lynn Pombano, Frank Chiara, and Justice Hayden in place for the next term.
So I'm just going to continue where I left off. Look, my platform is not radical, it's not rogue. It's simple, it's down to earth, and it's back to basics. My platform returns our village government back to our neighbors. I'm bringing new ideas to the table that would engage residents. It would give them a voice that has been quieted over the years. These are the same ideas that I have presented at times through the years, but were always met either with a side eye or completely ignored. My platform is not coming from thin air. It's rooted from what residents have been expressing for many years in frustration. Opening up the village government. It's a right. Taxpayers have a right. I'm not coming in to bust up the joint. Again, I will thoroughly support the work that they're doing. But we need to open up village government to the residents. We need engagement. We need to increase it. And it's not just because you know somebody in the village. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, so my statement is basically by continuing working together with our village staff, our community volunteers, and all of our residents, this village board, which I am very proud of being part of, is committed to our common goal of keeping our village fiscally sound while providing a safe and enjoyable environment for all of us to live. We will continue to work on limiting the outside influences from coming in and disturbing our way of life. I am asking for your support to support our Citizens Party team of Mayor Dom Longobardi, Trustee Lynn Pombano, Justice Doug Hayden, and myself, Frank Chiaro, on March 19th, so that we may continue our mission of serving our community and with the common goal of keeping Floral Park a great place to live and raise a family for now and generations to come. Thank you very much.
Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and being here with us. I'm going to ask you to ask yourself one question. Why do you live here? If you like why you live here, remember, for the last 90 years, 93 years, it's been government of the Citizens Party that's done that. We've built the community with all of you, every single one of you, making it as special as it is. We've worked hard to make sure, together, that this community is one of the best places we will ever have to live across the country, as I said in the beginning. And that's due to each and every one of you in this room. And we thank you for it. I'm going to ask you to please come out and vote on the 19th of March. Polls are open. Many of you vote right in this room. Polls are open from 12 noon to 9 o'clock. Bring your families. I'm going to ask you to please vote for our great village justice, Doug Hayden. Two unbelievably hardworking and dedicated trustees in Frank Chiara and Dr. Lynn Pombano. And if you get a chance, the little guy, the big guy running for mayor, if you could just toss a vote for him, I'd appreciate it. But I want to thank you all for everything that you do day in and day out for this community. Because I'll tell you right now, we don't do it alone. It is one big family. We make it a family. We work together as a family. We help each other. We're there to make it as special as possible. And I promise you, if we continue to do that, for the next 93 years, it'll be great. And one last thing I want to do, I just want to say, on behalf of me, thank you for letting me do one of the greatest jobs you could ever ask for in your life. And that's be mayor of Floral Park. And I want to thank a very special person sitting in the office, and in the audience for letting me do that. And that's my wife, Denise, for letting me do that. Thank you all, guys.
On behalf of the West End Civic Association, thank you all for coming. Have a good night.